The Igbo Kingdom of Nri is one of the most underrated kingdoms in Nigerian history. Nri Kingdom, considered the earliest settlement of Igbo-speaking people, is one of the oldest kingdoms in West Africa. But unlike the prehistory of most other Nigerian kingdoms, some of Nri's early history narratives have been corroborated by archaeological findings. It is recorded that Nri was ruled by ritual and divine authority, and it never practiced any form of slavery. In fact, Nri was probably the only kingdom in Africa that refused to participate in the transatlantic slave trade. But what continues to baffle scholars are the archaeological discoveries of artifacts that have been dated to the Middle Ages found at Nri's capital, Igbo-Ukwu. Arguably, Nri Kingdom is the most remarkable civilizations of pre-colonial Africa. Let's explore the Nri Kingdom, its ancient beginnings, its unique mode of expansion, and how events in the 19th century affected it. Please take a moment to like this video. I need all the support I can get. Thank you. Archaeological discoveries such as iron smelting furnaces, artifacts, and ancestral burial sites, excavated and examined by archaeologists and paleontologists, support the existence of early organized Igbo settlement in the southeastern region of present-day Nigeria from at least the 9th century AD. It is posited that before Nri emerged as a structured kingdom, the forest and river valleys of present-day southeastern Nigeria around the Niger River were home to small autonomous Igbo communities. These early settlements were organized by extended families, led by elders, and guided by ancestral worship. Farming of yam, palm oil, and other crops sustained them, while ironworking and pottery were practiced locally. According to Igbo oral tradition, a divine figure named Nri descended from the sky, sent by Chukwu, the supreme creator god, to bring order to the air. Nri settled at a place called Aguleri, near the Anambra River, and through divine power, he introduced laws, rituals, and taboos to regulate human behavior. He taught the people how to settle disputes without bloodshed, bury the dead with respect, and live in harmony with spiritual forces. Nri fathered several children. One of them, Nri Kingdom, would later migrate southward to establish the town of Nri. It is this settlement that would grow to become the spiritual nucleus of the Nri Kingdom. Kingdom became the first Eze Nri, the title of the ruler of Nri, who is more of a priest-king with ritual and mystic but not military power. Therefore, Nri Kingdom is considered the Ibo's ritual heart. Like the Ife Kingdom to the Yorubas, both are enveloped with legends, and in both, ancient artifacts have been dug up. One common misconception, spread by early Eurocentric scholars, is that the Igbo people were stateless before British colonialism. This is because these scholars believed that only centralized monarchies and empires counted as true states. But what they didn't understand was that many Igbo societies were built on egalitarian principles. They had organized systems of governance, just not in the European style of kings and empires. In this case, Nri was not built on conquest or tribute. It was built on spiritual guidance and the offering of ritual cleansing to communities, who in return accepted Nri's spiritual authority. The Eze Nri was chosen not just by bloodline, but through oracular consultation and ritual purity. Once chosen, he underwent elaborate rites of seclusion, transformation, and anointment. The Eze Nri is supported by a network of ritual specialists and representatives, the Nzena Ozo title holders. These were elders and men of high status from different communities who had passed through sacred initiation rites. These title holders were known as Mborishi and can be recognized by the facial scarifications called Ichi in Igbo. They were emissaries who offered communities spiritual benefits and protection in exchange for recognition of Nri's authority. They moved from village to village, performing rituals, cleansing abominations, and mediating conflicts. In return, those communities would symbolically acknowledge Nri's spiritual leadership. From the 10th century, the Nri Kingdom expanded its influence across Igbo land. Communities outside Nri's core would send messengers to request blessings, calendar rituals, or resolution of conflicts. At its greatest extent, Nri covered almost half of Igbo land, reaching parts of modern-day Anambra, Enugu, Ebonyi, Kogi, and even parts of Benue. Trade also flourished in Nri, especially between the 10th and 16th centuries AD. Nri was connected to regional trade networks dealing in salt, kola nuts, ivory, palm products, and iron tools. The Nri trade network stretched across Igbo land and further afield through middlemen communities, such as Arochukwu. Archaeological excavations also show likely connection to international trade prior to European contact, as some of the glass and carnelian beads dug up in Nri have been found to have originated from Old Cairo, India, and the Middle East. Nri seemed to have been part of a long-distance trade system along the Eastern Niger corridor route. One great thing that set Nri apart from other African kingdoms of this time was its anti-slavery stance. While other regions engaged in the trans-Saharan slave trade, and later in the 16th century, transatlantic slave trade, Nri never participated in the slave trade. The kingdom considered slavery an abomination, and escaped slaves who reached Nri land were granted asylum and integrated into society. A radical act at a time when slavery was a norm.
Nri Kingdom was a center of symbolic art, especially in the production of ritual objects and bronze work. The Igbo-Ukwu bronzes, first stumbled upon in 1938 by a man named Eze Nri, while digging a well in his compound, remain among the oldest and most sophisticated metal artworks ever found south of the Sahara. So far, several sites have been excavated containing hundreds of bronze and copper artifacts, royal burial sites, and beads made of glass, carnelian, and agate. The bronze and copper artifacts are cast with exquisite detail using the lost wax technique, showing spirals, loops, and patterns so intricate they rival the finest metalwork from anywhere in the world. And one of the royal burial sites contained a high-ranking individual, possibly an Eze Nri, adorned with regalia, bronze breastplates, anklets, and crowns, buried alongside sacred vessels, tools, and ritual objects. Some of these artifacts have been dated to the 9th century AD. That's before many European kingdoms had even formed. The antiquity of some of the bronze and iron works excavated reveals that the Igbo developed metalworking skills independently, without influence from Islamic North Africa or Europe. Its techniques, especially in bronze casting, were uniquely Igbo. The art historians Hugh Honor and John Fleming described one of the artifacts as a virtuoso feat of sheer Pedu, lost wax, casting. Its elegant design and refined detailing are matched by a level of technical accomplishment that is notably more advanced than European bronze casting of this period. From the 17th century, the rise of external pressures began to erode Nri's influence. Neighboring Igbo groups, such as the Aro Confederacy, began to challenge Nri's ritual monopoly by promoting a different religious cult, centered around the Ibini-Ukpabi oracle at Arochukwu, which blended spirituality with the growing slave trade. The arrival of European traders and guns in the 15th and 16th centuries had drastically changed the regional power dynamics. The peaceful model of the Nri Kingdom began to seem outdated in a world increasingly shaped by warfare and commerce. Many communities withdrew their allegiance to Nri, favoring more militarized alliances. By the 18th century, the spiritual authority of the Eze Nri was greatly diminished. Nri's decline was gradual. Spiritual influence faded, trade networks shifted, and fewer people sought its ritual guidance. By the time the British colonial forces arrived in the 1900s, Nri was a shadow of its former self. Yet it persisted until 1911, when the British administration dethroned the reigning Eze Nri in favor of the warrant chief system. Nri Igbo continues to exist as one of the traditional states within modern Nigeria. If you want to know more about what happened to other Nigerian kingdoms around that period, watch this video next. Thanks for watching.